Hi everyone, this is Garrison again for Iron Kingdoms at War. I'm going to talk to you about how to build a Iron Kingdoms bunker for Warmachine games today. I just wanted to show you that all terrain ideas usually start for me and for a lot of people with just a sketch of what you plan on building. And so this is basically the idea for the bunker. It's going to be mainly kind of a semi-ovular mound of dirt with kind of a trenchway entry to a square bunker, right, which is going to have a removable top so you can put the figures inside. It's going to be simple. It's just going to have firing ports on 3 sides and a door on this side where the trench leads into it. So I wanted to point that out because this is, how my designs always start. The next thing I did was on a piece of paper I sketched out just kind of a footprint for this bunker. All right, and so the idea being that I just cut out a piece of paper, a standard piece of paper, just kind of an outline of the base of this piece. And so you can see what I did was, I have the trenchway leading in here, and then this will be a square opening where the actual bunker will be built, and the rest of this will be kind of a dirt hillside that leads up to it. Now what I did with this template is, because I'm not going to show every step, but I'll show you how I got started, is I put that over a piece of foam. Now, I use 2-inch foam, honestly. Probably could have gotten away with 1-inch thick foam, either way. But what I did was I basically put this template on top of a piece of foam, and I outlined around it, and then I cut out the piece that I needed. So I cut out the piece that I needed, and I wound up with something like this shape. And so this is the beginning of the landscaping around the actual bunker. So what I did was I went in with a hot wire foam cutter. Let me just show you what those look like in case you haven't seen them before, although I'm guessing many of you work with these. A hot wire foam cutter looks something like this. It's got a wire that goes between 2 metal prongs, and I basically carved out from my design that I etched on the styrofoam this shape and sloped the sides. I've mounted this on a cardboard. It's a heavy-duty thick cardboard. A lot of people like to mount their terrain pieces on hardboard or MDF and so forth, but to me sometimes that's a little thick and it's a little unnecessary for smaller terrain projects that will have just a fine durability from a heavy piece of cardboard or matting board for pictures. Alright, so that's the basic shape that we've cut out here and mounted. So the next step is going to be to start to build the actual bunker, which we're going to do out of foam core. And I'll show you that step in just a second. Okay, so now I'm going to need to start to construct the actual bunker walls itself, which is going to be kind of a concrete style bunker. So what I'm going to use is foam core. Right, so foam core is the poster board you see that basically has paper on 2 sides and a small bit of foam in between. Terrain builders love this stuff. Although it's difficult to work with in some respects, it's a great material as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that same template that I cut out as the footprint of the bunker, and I want to make sure the sides of my bunker snugly fit inside, that area that I've cut out, in my styrofoam landscape base. So the best way to make sure I get a good fit is I'm going to take this template. Now it's going to be white on white, so bear with me in the video. It's going to be a little tricky to see. And I'm going to put this template on the edge of my foam core, okay, as such, so that I can match up the side of this template and get the width of a bunker that's exactly right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to take a pen and I'm going to mark that so that I get a nice snugly fitting bunker side in there. If it's not perfect in the end, there's going to be ways around that. Now what I'm going to do as a way to remember this is I'm going to call this the left side of the bunker and the right side and the forward or front side of the bunker, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this piece of foam core L for now to remember that that is the side that matches this piece. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I cut the other 2 pieces. Okay, marking that edge. I'm going to mark this F so I remember this is for the forward side of the bunker. And then what I'm going to do, let me get zoomed in there a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the right side of this bunker as such. Okay. And I don't know, we'll call these little panels here the entryway, right, or whatnot. So those are actually going to be 2 separate little pieces. So I'm going to call those E1 and E2. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I cut those out as well. So here's E1, and here's, to make sure I get the right width, here's going to be E2. And it doesn't have to be perfect in the end, but basically I've marked on the edge of this board the width of all of these bunker pieces, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide how tall I want my bunker to be. So I'm thinking about 2.5 inches or so. Let me just see how I like that. Zoom out a little bit. Let me see how I like that height. I want a figure to be able to stand inside this, but I don't want too much above the landscape. So I think I'm going to go about to 2 inches, as tall as I want to go. So on the edge of my foam core board, I'm going to mark 2 inches. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a T-square, or you could do this with a ruler or yardstick or whatnot, to make sure I get a nice straight even edge so the sides of the bunker are all the same. I'm just going to draw this line across the board, and then what I can do is all those marks that I made, okay, for the various widths of the pieces, I can take those up as such. It's a little tricky to do with one hand, so bear with me. Okay, and E2. Alright, so now what I've got is I've got all my pieces of the sides of the bunker marked out and ready to go, and so I can cut these out and then begin construction of my bunker, which I'll show you in just a second.